Setting up now. All right, we are set. So here we go. Why, hello, and welcome to issue 572 of Geek in the City Radio. I'm one of your hosts, Aaron Duran.
No, I'm one of your other hosts, Spinarita.
And I'm your other host, Cable Hashitani.
And we are recording live on election night and trying to ignore the fact that it's election night.
Yay!
And we have a couple of guests joining us as well, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Denise, want to intro our guests for us?
Yes, so we are joined today by Monty Nero and Yishan Lee, who are here to talk to us about their new upcoming book, Frenemies.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey,
Good.
Thanks for joining us, guys.
My pleasure.
And thanks to Yishan, because I believe you're quite far away, aren't you? It's morning where you are.
Yeah, I mean, it's 10:30 technically. I'm in Shanghai right now, and it's not that early, but artists, we don't wake up early, right?
I know I wasn't out of bed at 10:30 today, so, thanks for being here.
Well, and Monty is in Dundee, aren't you?
Yeah, Dundee, Scotland. It's 2:30 in the morning here.
Okay, so you're partying. That's where
This is
you're at.
a whole international Geek in the City today.
I think
Yeah.
this might be the most time zones we've had on the show at one time.
Oh, wow, cool.
Yeah,
What an honor.
one time. Yeah, the most we ever had was someone on the East Coast and someone from Australia at the same time, but that was it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's cool.
And
Yeah,
it just
it's
hit me around this time 4 years last year. My wife was just leaving Shanghai. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's jump right into it. Starting with Monty or Yishan. I don't know which one of you wants to take the lead on this, but would you like to give a quick synopsis of what Frenemies is for the audience?
Okay, well, it's about 7 rival LGBT and straight characters who are all searching for a mysterious lost planet that will destroy the solar system unless they can find it. So you've got 7 different characters, all very different, all very sort of disparate kind of worldviews, and they have to decide whether they're going to help each other to reach this planet or whether they're going to sort of mess things up for each other, which is where the frenemies aspect comes from. It's with something like this serious at stake, they have to decide if their best friend is their worst enemy when they're trying to search for this planet.
Okay, so sort of a like a battle royale situation where sometimes it helps to take on some alliances, but ultimately only one person can win. So eventually, it's probably going to be some backstabbing. Yeah.
Yeah. When they start off, they all appear to be at very least friendly. They're all they all know each other. They're all PhD students at a university, and then this strange phenomena happens due to this research they're doing into something called the Eye of Stars, which turns out to be a kind of space traveling device. And they sort of discover this missing planet that used to be part of our solar system. And the aliens on this planet are so advanced that their technology basically looks to us like dark magic. So it's kind of the effect that this magic has on the characters as they search for this planet is where we spend a lot of the focus of the book. So it's kind of like a combination of traditional pulp sci-fi, but then updated with a lot of sort of progressive and modern ideas to make it all fresh, which is a lot of fun.
Nice.
Yeah, I noticed that you have quite a few female characters in the group right off the bat, and everyone has like a very unique look. They don't all sort of have this cohesive "we're a team of adventurers" vibe. I'm assuming that that's something that you guys kind of collaborated on aesthetically, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I wanted Yishan to draw it, because she's so great at drawing and designing characters. So you've got four different women on this book: Jamelia, Kai, Delphine, and Minerva. And I mean, Minerva's like a professor of art history, and Jamelia's the youngest. She's a lot more sort of naive and sort of new to all this kind of stuff. So I just sort of briefly kind of like described the characters in sort of like, you know, a couple of sentences, and then I sort of just gave that to Yishan because I knew that Yishan would kind of design and draw exactly the sort of cool original kind of stuff you can see on the comic.
Mhm.
How did
In
you and
like,
Yishan initially meet? Like, what brought you together on this project?
Can you remember Yishan?
I think we were sitting in the Comic Con together in I think Dundee or somewhere, Scotland, and we were like, I really like how much you can talk and make sense. And let's try work on something together. And then I think you came out with this idea after maybe a year or so, and we just decided to give a try. So he sent me the characters, and it's mainly just character descriptions of of personalities, and just asked me to do cosplay clothes on. Little did I know they gonna fight. So we end up having too much cosplay gears on them. I think that's a real life situation for cosplayers as well, right? Oh, too much, and you go out, you cannot sit. So that is a real problem when I actually draw me as well. It's like actually there's the full gear on them. How can they actually make that movement? And, but yeah, the characters are set, so I just had to carry on.
I think you pulled it off. The action sequences in this preview that you shared with us are pretty good. So
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. The comic's got a real bounce to it and a real sort of life to it. And Yishan's just really, really good at drawing characters and designing characters and then making them act, because obviously the relationships between the characters are really important. We've got a lot of really cool science fiction concepts and ideas that we explore, and a lot of action, a lot of laser blasting and aliens and stuff. But to me, that's always quite boring unless you've got a really interesting change in every scene between the sort of relationship of the characters. And Yishan's really good at bringing that to life. It was actually, I think it was in Birmingham. I think it was the Birmingham Comic Con that we first met. And I was sitting next to Yishan all day, and she was just surrounded by fans all day and just drawing picture after picture after picture, and they're all brilliant. And I thought, Jesus Christ, she's so talented. this is amazing. And what she's too modest to say is that after I kind of wrote the script almost straight away. Sort of, I think I started working on it the following week, because Yishan's so busy and she's so popular. She does a lot of work for Image and Dark Horse and DC and all these kind of very big companies. I was too sort of shy to sort of show the script, because I thought, oh, she'll just be too busy. She'll just be too busy to draw it. So there's no point, you know. She's always working. But luckily, after about a year, she actually asked me if I had anything that she could draw, and I said, yeah, I've actually got this script that I wrote with you in mind, like when we first met. So that was really cool.
Is that what happened?
Yeah, that's
yeah. I think that's a lot of good artistic relationships are born on the con floor. So I like that story.
Yeah. I don't know if you remember, Yishan, but we went out that night. We went out with your husband, and we went out and we got drunk and we went dancing, and it was really good fun. So I think that's always a good basis for working together. You know, if you get on.
Yeah, that
So an
sounds like
average
a fun.
convention night is how you all met then.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that's
quite important for the artist and writer to actually personally know each other because otherwise, when you have like changes coming, it can be it can start a fight. Can you? But if you know personally, in and then you know they what they do and you know they what they normally do makes sense, and you take their ideas and the comments much nicer.
Yeah, that's really great.
yeah, that's true. I always work with like friends, not just like some random artist that I know over the internet. I always work with someone that I know well.
Mhm.
And so one thing I noticed when I was going through this preview is I don't see a label on here. So I was curious, are you working with a publisher or are you guys self-publishing this one?
Well, to start off, we're publishing it ourselves through Kickstarter. And you can see the Kickstarter now if you go to Frenemies: The Lost Planet 1 and 2. There's loads of really cool rewards that Yushan's drawn, or we've got some other artists involved as well, some really good science fiction artists to do covers and prints and things. You can get rewards from as little as $3 up to sort of 750. So there's a big kind of range of how much amazingly cool stuff you might want to get with the comic. But the main thing is that the comic itself is just a really, really fun read, and I think that's really important, especially at the moment. People just want escapism and they want to enjoy, something new. Yeah, it's very much the sort of comic where you're just trying to entertain people. And I think with a comic like this, you want to have a lot of what people expect with science fiction and space fantasy. You want to have a lot of a really great villain, for instance, a really sort of dastardly villain. And I'm really, really happy with our villain on this comic. I think we introduced her in this issue, and she's really, really one of my favorite characters already. She's got so much about her, just visually as well as in what she says and does, and so forth.
And that would
Yeah,
be
visually she
the
definitely stands out
Marchioness.
from the page. Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah,
You're
that's right.
the Marchioness, right?
Yeah. She looks very high tech. She's got like that sort of visor and that futuristic suit that kind of glows. But then she's also got this really cool kind of flowing sort of feathered cape with 6 tentacles that come off it. And the tentacles are actually like talons at the end. But if you imagine in the palm of your hand, you've got like a fanged mouth that can sort of eat stuff and grasp onto your face. So it's really disgusting. And she uses these, she sort of wields 6 laser swords. So there's a brilliant scene Yishan's drawn when the character's introduced where she's like whirling around, besting all these adversaries and giving out some killer dialogue, schooling them in how the universe should be working.
Yeah, it's I'm looking at that panel right now where you introduce that character, and it's a very the wicked and divine meets Star Wars sort of a moment there, a little bit of like a Tron look. It's a really fun, unique design. I really appreciated that one.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm curious. Who would you say is your target audience for this particular story?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think the way I work, I don't know about Yishan, but the way I work is I always try and just make a comic that I would really enjoy and like to see. So I find that if I do that, then I just need to find people that are enthused and excited about the same kind of things that excite us about a comic. So I never really think beyond that. I think especially nowadays, the way the world works, it's all about sort of bubbles and people's interests, and it's just about meeting and enthusing people that have the same interests as you. So that's how I always approach this kind of thing. I guess if I was looking at it from a publisher's point of view, you're looking at sort of like a cross between sort of saga fans, sort of Flash Gordon Star Wars fans and sort of Dungeons and Dragons fans, because there's definitely that sort of Dungeons and Dragons 80s cartoon type vibe to the relationship between the characters.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. We've actually we also have a live chat where people watch us on YouTube, and they sent us in questions, and we just got a question from our listener Hisham, who was curious how long you see the story running, or is this ongoing? How many volumes would you like in the long run see this to go, or is it pretty limited in story, like what you're planning to release?
Okay, well, initially we're doing 4 issues, which makes a complete story that you can enjoy. And then the way that we've set up the story with the sort of quest for the lost planet, and of course having 7 characters to explore, which is brilliant because you can always see things from somebody else's point of view. You can always see a scene that you think you know what's happened, and then you see it from someone else's point of view, and it's way more interesting than you initially realized. So there's a lot of storytelling that you can get into. So again, the way I approach a comic is I just think like, oh man, I've got so many science fiction ideas, and I've got the sort of style and tone of character that I want to explore. So I just want to have somewhere to put all that stuff, and so that people can sort of enjoy it. So I mean, I could keep on making this for sort of 25 years, no problem, with new stories and new characters and new revelations and so forth. So that's often the battle with the first story, is you're just thinking like, well, what are the key things I need to get into this initial introduction? So it's very much the case that I like to write stories where you can pick up any issue and know what's going on, and sort of get a good grasp of the story and the characters, but at the same time that it makes a much more complex narrative as it continues. So I think people will enjoy it if they pick it up for the first time.
Nice.
So do you want to give any sort of teasers for what sort of major or key events people can expect to see happening in your first arc?
Oh, right. Yeah, sure. Well, initially, the characters, all 7 characters, they find themselves in the middle of this very intense space battle on a distant planet. It's like a 3-way battle between different alien races, and there's an awful lot of shooting and action, and they have to figure out, through that you sort of reveal the sort of character of each of the people involved and how they respond to that. And then the 3 races are all kind of searching for this missing planet, which used to be part of our solar system and has this sort of very powerful technology, which they all want to utilize. Initially there's an incident that's about to happen at the end of this issue, which is the first time that the characters interact with the alien magic, the alien technology, and that has a very like sort of life-changing effect on all of the characters, which is kind of like the key sort of turning point in the initial arc. So it's kind of like there's a lot of kind of mystery and sort of fear as to what the intention of these mysterious aliens that are so powerful that can make a planet disappear, what their kind of intention was and what they're up to. So there's kind of like a sort of X-Files sort of 2001 A Space Odyssey kind of epic kind of feel to the sort of strangeness of what's happening, as well as all the sort of Flash Gordon type laser action.
Fun.
Wow, that is so many like big different elements. I'm curious to see how that's all going to converge.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like scene to scene. I mean, we start off with a very sort of intense action scene, and then it sort of shifts. So as soon as they find this alien ship where they take shelter, and then it's very much more like a sort of horror kind of thing where they sort of discover these like really disgusting alien corpses, and it's all kind of spooky. And a bit like Alien or something like that. So I think, yeah, you're sort of you're always thinking of like the classic science fiction that you've enjoyed, and how to sort of convey that in comics, how to get that across in comics. And I mean, Yishan's so talented. She can kind of handle all this stuff. She recently did a Hellboy story, which was just really, really spooky and like a lot of dark shadows and stuff, and a really great story that you should check out online if you want to have a look for that. Yeah, she can handle all this kind of different tone as we sort of shift scene to scene, but still keep the characters as like the core of it, and keep the heart of the story at the core of it.
Excellent.
Nice.
What is the name of that title, Yishan?
Oh, it's I get confused by numbers. It's PRE and let me just get the book 1 second.
Okay. Well, while she's grabbing that, Monty, I'll let you go first. What? Oh, here it is.
Oh,
Okay,
1956.
BPRD 1956. Awesome.
Oh, you got to do one of the fun ones when Hellboy went back to Mexico. Those are always some of my favorite ones.
Ooh.
Oh, I don't know. They had to ask me to do it. They haven't contacted me for it, so I guess they got.
Okay, well, so one last time, your Kickstarter is Kickstarter Frenemies: The Lost Planet, and then where can people find each of you on the internet?
Yishan?
Oh, my website is www.liyishan, which is my name, liyishan.com.
And Monty?
We're gonna put her site in the chat right now too. So.
Oh, cool. Something you can get on the Kickstarter is Yishan's doing a few sort of original art kind of rewards, which are really beautiful, because like I say, that's how we first met, was just sitting there watching her sketch and draw with ink and colors, like all these amazing characters. So she's if you can get an original bit of artwork from her, that is a really beautiful thing to have on your wall. Obviously, that's one of the more expensive rewards you can get, but there's also prints, and you can get variant covers of the comic. And the other thing we're doing on the Kickstarter that's new is we're actually doing like a new story every day. So instead of just doing updates where we say like, oh, you know, this is how the comic's doing and so forth, we actually release a new story every day, a new bit of like Pulp Fiction and a new bit of the story, so you find out a bit more about the characters and how it ties in with the main comic. So
Okay, it's very immersive.
yeah, that's been a lot of fun. As soon as you come onto the site, the entire Kickstarter is like it's a fictional part of the world of the comic. So it's a lot of fun to write that and to interact with the readers in that sort of way. They seem to have really been enjoying it so far. So yeah, it's a lot of fun to write the updates as well, because you sort of have to drop them at the same time every day. So I need to get them finished. I need to keep typing. So you can find my stuff at montynero.com, MONTYNERO. And it's the same Montenero on Twitter and Montenero on Facebook and so forth. There's a little page on my website where you can learn more about Frenemies and the characters, and see some more of Yishan's sort of concepts for the characters and so forth. So yeah, check it out.
Excellent. And so
Nice.
those mini story updates are going to be available to anyone who backs the Kickstarter. And I'm guessing that the special art done by Yishan comes at the founding fan doodle edition level.
Yeah. There are 3 levels you can get different types of art on. Kind of starts with like very simple kind of head and shoulder sketches, and then you can get a beautiful commission from Yishan at the highest 2 levels.
Yeah, and as an example, on the Kickstarter set, Yishan has posted a absolutely gorgeous, oh god, I'm blanking on the word, cover art of Leia. This is really beautiful piece.
Yeah, no,
So-
that is That is a lovely picture. Yeah, yeah.
So everyone be sure to check that out.
Sweet.
Well, Monty and Yishan, thank you both so much for joining us tonight to share this book with us.
Great.
Yeah. How many more days are left on that Kickstarter?
That's brilliant. Thank you. Yeah, we've got like 9 days left, I think, and we've on to the third stretch goal. So we're just adding stuff to people's kind of package now, new prints and getting new artists involved. We just got an artist called Dylan Teague, who's one of the best science fiction artists in comics. He's done like Meta Barons, and he's done a lot of European graphic novels, and he just did a big talk for Wacom about, creating sci-fi artwork and so forth. And he's going to do some artwork for us as the next stretch goal. So getting some really, really cool rewards now for people.
That's fantastic.
Come free with their whatever they order. This just kind of comes as an added bonus now because it's all stretch goals.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right. Well, thank you both again.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Monty. Thank you, Yishan. It's great to see both of you, and we look forward to seeing more of your work in the future. Also.
Cheers. Thanks for having us on.
All right.
Thanks.
Get some sleep.
Yeah. I'm going back to bed now. Yeah. Bye-bye.
Right.
Bye.
Bye, Yishan. Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
The awkward Zoom
Right.
sign off that everyone goes through.
And almost.
His phone doesn't want to sign off.
I know. Here I can.
Help with that.
There you go.
There we go. All right.
Don't take it the wrong way, Monty. I just had to sign you off. It was probably easier from this end.
He was definitely trying, so
Yeah, no, it's fine.
Yeah. Well,
That was cool.
it certainly seems like it's going to be a fun book, and it sounds like they're doing well on the Kickstarter. So
Yeah, and I can tell why he was nervous that she was so busy. I looked at her webpage. When you draw Hellboy, Batwoman, and Buffy, you're gonna start building a fan base. So that
I
that tends to
got
happen.
that wrong. I already forgot it. Has the website Yishan Lee or Lee Yishan?
It's
I
on
found
the it's on the YouTube's chat.
Oh, I know, but I can only have so many browsers open at a time.
do it.
I just want to check out her art while we continue to chat.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's some good stuff there.
Well,
I'm excited for them.
This would be a good place for us to take a break.
I will gladly take a break. My glass is almost empty.
And we're back. But you can go do something. That was just for me to know when I'm going to put a commercial in later.
Oh, gotcha. Well, I'll be right back then.
All right, very well.
Very well.
Abel, how are
Yeah.
you?
I'm fine.
That's good.
I had things to do, but there was not an opportune moment to interrupt anyone, and I didn't want to interrupt anyone. So
Yeah, that was I was in the same way. It was good.
the things that all I was going to do was point out was more of Monty's background, more of Ishan's background.
All right. What did I
Back to-
miss?
The fact that they are currently at, it's fine.
Well, what?
It's good. It's fine.
Okay.
Seriously, what did I miss?
Nothing. He was explaining stuff and then he stopped.
Yep, it's okay. It's fine.
We're totally going to talk about this later. Okay. So here's the fun thing. Did we plan anything else for tonight?
Nope.
Yes, yes,
But,
we did.
I mean, we
talked
did
about
like
it in Slack.
yeah, I mean, within the last an hour we planned something, yes.
You say that like we do something different every week.
Well, sometimes we plan a few days in
At
advance.
least we have an excuse tonight. Existential dread.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We're going to kick off Star Talks, where we cover a new episode of Discovery and The Mandalorian.
Which we can do for
Oh.
at least like 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Right. Well, in that case, technically, we've been planning this for over a week.
Star Talking. Star Talking across the podcast first. Star Talking, nerding out is the best. Okay, we have to workshop the theme song still.
Yeah, we don't have a musician on the in the crew anymore, so it kind of makes it hard to get those themes.
I know.
Quick,
So
somebody
easy.
get Chris Waffle on the line.
Yeah. Or get Keelan out of retirement.
I
Or
feel
maybe
like one of those. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. My shit's dumb.
Go ahead.
I was maybe we can just insert the Butterman song into this section.
That'll be fine.
Zach says we could use Primal Screams.
What's that?
That's just screaming.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
From deep inside yourself. Reach deep, Aaron.
No, I've been there a lot today. I don't want to go back there right now. Let's just stay away.
I actually haven't been there at all. I listened to my morning news as I usually do, and then I just dicked off all day. It's actually been kind of nice.
Here's the thing: is I haven't looked at any news, at all. I've just been building my anxiety.
I start my day with news radio alarm clock, so
Right. It doesn't help that the past couple of weeks, the Trump caravans have only been like 4 blocks from my house, and they've been super aggro. And literally 3 nights ago, they shot into someone's yard, and the cops didn't make any arrests.
I didn't even hear about this.
They stopped them, and then let them go.
Of course they did.
Yeah. So that's why I've been a little on edge, because I live a few blocks away to. So they're all coming in from Washington, like all of them. And they have to take the 205, and it exits like a mile from our house. And then the direct, they basically come within a few blocks of our house once they start their racist caravan. So yeah, little on edge. Plus, we're doing other things that has made me extra edgy also. So
Curious, but I won't ask you to talk about them now if you don't want to.
Not on the air.
Totally fine.
It's nothing bad. It's just how I process shit.
Sure.
Yeah. It actually could be a good thing, but again, it's how I process shit.
Okay.
So, yep, very well.
Right. What do we want to start with? Star Trek or Star Wars?
What do you think, Cable?
I would say Star Trek over Star Wars because the Trek that comes before Wars and alphabetically. Also, Star Trek debuts every Thursday, Star Wars every Friday.
So also chronologically.
Yes.
Right.
And technically also historically.
Yes.
All right. Well, then, very well. Let us start with Star Trek Discovery. This was episode 3. It was Far From Home, right? Was this episode, I believe?
Good question.
I thought it was Welcome to Earth.
Welcome, we have already failed. Start talking.
No, People of Earth. It's People of Earth.
People of Earth.
People of Earth.
Which is fun because that's an alien saying.
I know that, yeah. People of Earth.
People of Earth.
It's a cookbook. Oh, sorry.
So episode 3 finds all of our cast members reunited, and they have made their way to Earth because they have gotten their hands on enough dilithium. No, they already had enough dilithium, and because they didn't go through the burn like everyone else, and they figure Earth has got to be a good, safe rendezvous point where they can sort of like get their bearings again and like find out what the fuck happened during their jump.
Right.
But that is not the way that went down at all.
Yeah, no.
Heads up, if you haven't watched the episode yet, stop listening.
Yeah, we're probably
can't
going to
really
spoil stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, this one's hard to review without spoiling. So, spoilers. Earth's kind of populated by paranoid dicks.
they have become, I don't know that I would say xenophobic, but they've definitely become like the galactic version of nationalists.
That's xenophobic.
That's xenophobic.
Yes.
With
Okay.
with a good little streak of hoarderism or survivalists. Like they Earth became galactic doom preppers.
Right. They went from being a socialist utopia to a sort of like every planet for themselves kind of a situation.
Yeah. And then
And
K-Book, correct me if I'm wrong, but they're called Earth Defense Force here, right?
Earth Defense Force, yes.
So that was also pre-Starfleet, right? Like way like before Enterprise.
Mm-hmm.
Before so that was what Starfleet became. If I'm trying to remember correctly, was it originally called Earth Defense Force or the Earth Space?
I don't know.
Yeah.
well, Earth Defense Force is a PlayStation game.
Yes. And the uniforms kind of had, for me at least, a weird visual callback to Terra Prime.
Oh, I think that was deliberate.
Oh yeah, no,
I felt
but
like that was very deliberate.
once again, I think we talked about this last week. The writers in Discovery are really like grabbing a lot of random shit from Enterprise,
Mm-hmm.
which is really fascinating to me.
I think it just
Especially-
makes sense. Like they don't technically have any other canon that they can rely off of because of where they fit in the timeline.
Used to fit in the time.
Used to fit.
Right, right. But they haven't learned that much other stuff yet. So
as is revealed later on in the episode.
Right. I didn't. I like this episode. I know some Trek fans are like saying this is their favorite of the season, and like so far, this one I don't know why it kind of up until about the end it didn't quite fully stick the landing for me. And I'm sure it'll be explained a little bit more as it progresses. And I have to remember that a year has gone by for Michael. I'm not fully tracking with her kind of slight moral shift within a year because she's such a true believer. And the end of episode 1 kind of shows how much she's a true believer that it felt odd that within a year, part of her is questioning her own Starfleet ideals.
but a lot can happen in a year, especially when you're sort of in this like survival scavenger mode. And she's also working. She has spent that year, and her new closest person is someone who, by comparison to what Michael used to be like, is like sort of an extremist. Very different priorities about the universe and what's right and what needs to happen. And
yeah, I can see that. I don't know. Something about it didn't fully click with me, which is why, again, I was really happy with towards the end where Shia Saru had that conversation.
can you elaborate?
It was a conversation where Saru basically suggests that he probably wouldn't have disapproved of her plan, but that he needs a number one that he can trust without question. And the first thing she does when they're back immediately makes him wonder, like, have I made the right choice in wanting to pick Michael as my number one? So when they have that talk at the end, I think it helps a lot with some of the feelings I was having in that episode with some of her actions. I mean, I got what she did, and I get it from like a dramatic stance. Like it played really well. I don't know. It was a trickier transition for me to buy into 100% with her character.
No, I think that she has changed, and that is a natural progression for the events of the last several years for her. Like she, there was a time where she thought she wanted leadership, but she's also made some really maybe not poor decisions, but decisions that have had massive negative impact for a lot of people. And once she's had a year to be away from Starfleet and that sort of need for hierarchy and structure in that same way, it really kind of changes your perception on those sorts of things. And by the time she is reunited with the crew and has this conversation with Saru about who should be in charge, she has already come to the conclusion that she might have thought that's what she wanted, and she might have been working towards that goal for a time, but maybe it wasn't right for her. Maybe her methods of decision making are not what she perceives to be the right mentality to be the leader of a crew in a ship.
Yeah.
I'm like, maybe I'm like looking at it from a much more personal perspective, but I can see why she has come to these, like new stances.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think we'll just kind of go round and round on that. It's not that I don't think she would not get there. It was the amount of time it took for her to get there that was harder for me to track. I mean, that's kind of it.
Think about what we as people have gone through in 7 months and what that's done to all of us and how we question everything that we've ever been a part of. I think it is within the reality that Michael Burnham was left in for a year on her own is enough to have caused that change in that particular person's personality based on what we have seen of her before. Logic and emotion both drive her. She's
Right.
driven by her emotions, and she will take the most logical choice. I kind of agree that I guess it wasn't as hard a sell for me, is what I'm saying. Like, I see exactly why she made the decisions that she did and why she's starting to become the character that she's becoming. And I think the entire Discovery crew is going to be going through the same.
Yeah, she's had a whole year. A year might not sound like a long time, but when it's an entire year to basically experience and acclimate to a completely different type of society, it you can't help but fall into line. And maybe fall into line is not the right way of phrasing it, but you change. A year of hardship changes you, and I can tell you that because it's the third time I've done that.
And I think that that's the whole point, and that I think that's I don't know what the writers are trying to do. My perception of it is that by putting a character or characters into a situation where not only is everything that they've already known gone, they are still in a place where everything is still familiar enough that it's hard. They're having a lot of cognitive dissonance trying to reconcile the two. Yes, Starfleet's gone, the Federation is gone, all the people they've known are gone, but there's still Andorians, there's still Orions, there's still Tellarites, there's still humans, there's still conflict, there's still transporters. The technology is still there, and and the races that they're used to are still there. But players have changed, new alliances have formed, so it's familiar but different. And I think that's a reflection of what we've been going through. Is everything looks the same. Everything, we are still in the same world, but so much underneath it has changed drastically that we don't know what's going on anymore.
Yeah.
And so I find Michael's change inside of a year very, very believable and very relatable. And I think that the entire, like I was saying, the entire Discovery crew is going to go through that individually and as a crew as they spend more time in the future.
Right. I mean, I get your guys' point. It's just my read on Michael is harder to track for me.
Mm-hmm.
Especially because the last time she went totally off the books and didn't tell her captain, she got her captain killed.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I guess that's what's sitting in the back of my head of that. Is she really going to make that same choice again? Like, does that, I feel like that would be a weird voice in the back of her head saying, hey, Michael, you're doing it again. But
She also has a lot more experiences and perspectives that she didn't have back when
I
she
know. Yeah,
did that before.
Yeah, that's why I fully cop to the fact that it's just my own personal read.
Mm-hmm. I am not saying that you were incorrect at all in your assessment.
I mean, I can be. I don't care.
That's true. I think Cable and I are both like looking at it from a very different perspective or past experiences. What I will say is I think that Saru is the better choice for captain.
Oh yeah, I didn't want her as captain. No, I meant him wondering if he should trust her as when he was like, I now question me picking you as number one.
Right.
No, I think Michael's gone way
that,
beyond a desire to become a captain.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that those two things go hand in hand. Saru is obviously always displayed a certain amount of level-headedness, and he takes his time making decisions. You can see him sort of, always gathering information and perspectives and feelings before he makes a command most of the time, unless it's like obviously urgent or whatever.
Sure.
And if Michael continues or has changed in a way that takes her away from that style of leadership, I can see where like, we're probably gonna butt heads. I don't think I'm going to like your leadership style or your decision making, and
Right.
yeah, I feel a little bit weird about it.
Yeah.
That part made sense for sure.
And this new, more, I hate to use the word aggressive, maybe more confident Saru is not going to have any problem busting her down if he has to.
Mm-hmm.
I don't find him aggressive, but I think assertive.
That's what I meant, confident.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which also makes me think that eventually, especially what we saw on Discovery this week, where he didn't want to fight in the ship battle.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was obvious. I mean, but he was still willing to literally make Discovery a shield between two ships, knowing that their tech is so vastly outdated against what is being used against them. And that's not a choice Saru would have made a season ago, pre-Ganglia, or yeah. Like that Saru wouldn't have done that.
Yeah, you're probably right. He definitely is more assertive. But I think that the idea that he would say, no, this is our fight, and we never intended for you to get in the middle of it, because that's obviously what you want to avoid.
Right.
So like, we'll figure it out. That I think is intrinsically Saru.
Yeah, no, totally. But I think what I was getting to is I wonder if we're going to see a time eventually this season that it's going to be a callback to what the Ba'ul fear about Kelpians is, that our event's going to push Saru where he's like, I tried talking. I tried being nice. I tried reaching my hand out. But you done pushed me and my crew too far.
I think so. I think we are going to see that, and
yeah, and it will be
largely
strangely frightening to watch Saru cut loose.
Mm-hmm. The way that, I don't know if this is the way it's been written or the way that Doug Jones plays it, but there is an element to Saru's, the two conflicts that they've now been in, where one was the bar fight, and then the next was the getting fired on by the Earth Defense Force. In both of those, when he's trying to get across, he's like, I don't want to fight, I don't want to do this. There's an element to that performance that says, I don't want to do this, I don't want to fight, because if I do, you're dead.
Exactly.
It's like if we fight, I have already won. You cannot win this fight. You don't know it, but I do.
Right.
That's
And-
that's the trope of the monk, right?
Right.
Like
Yeah.
you're a pacifist, but also I'll fucking snap your neck before you know what happened.
Mhm.
I can
It's
do
the-
that. I choose not to.
Yep.
It's I actually had shades of like, especially in the bar scene the previous episode, I had shades of like classic, in a weird way, like classic Bruce Lee movies
Mm-hmm.
where he's talking and talking and talking and telling him, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. Pow. And all of a sudden someone's on the ground. He's like, can we go back to talking now, please?
Mhm.
Because I'll do this to all of you if I have to, but I don't want to, you know?
I think I mentioned last week, he moves faster than every human in that room.
Yeah.
Which is funny because during regular activity, has a very like sinuous kind of floating aspect to his movement.
I'd love to interview him one day and ask him if he takes some inspiration from like snakes and reptiles in that they move really slow because they try to conserve their energy. But when they have to fight or strike, it's fucking lightning fast and they do the fight. And then it's right back to like, and then it's like you slow right back down,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
And even the way he threw his head back in that fight, it was like a cobra. Like it was like right before a cobra spits.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was cool. Detmer's still fucked up. Sorry, we can go back.
I'm glad that they did not just drop that thread, and I'm looking forward to them exploring that more in little bits throughout the season.
Yeah.
Same.
Because,
Yeah, me too.
because I think that is going to be the B plot that they use to bring out Uosakun and Reese and Bryce and the other gal whose name I can't remember now. She's the one that was playing.
Was Iram?
Yeah, was Arium, and then they gave the actress a job playing a human version.
Right. Yeah. I'm wondering. I feel like Control being in here is actually kind of lazy. But I'm not saying it's not. I don't think it's that at all. But I am wondering if it's got something to do with the issue of cybernetics in the future, because I've been thinking back on scenes that we've seen in episodes 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't seen other cybernetic entities at all. No implants, nothing. Like everyone's pretty much all biological.
I'm sorry, you're still talking about Detmer?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Detmer.
Okay. Well, don't forget there was that other gal who had the robot head, just the head. And yeah, I don't think it's a Control situation. I straight up think they're just playing the long game on some PTSD storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's possible. Yeah.
Let's talk about the Earth Kids.
Well, they're a paranoid bunch.
Yeah. But
Which, I mean,
no, go ahead.
I'll just say, from what we know so far, I don't justify it, but I understand it.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Right. No, unfortunately it's sort of the logical chain of events when other certain events happen.
Mhm.
Bad things happen, you get scared, someone shows up and says, oh, we have to protect our own, let's shut the doors and just be jerks to everyone who's not us. But no, I mostly wanted to talk about the new young actor who I believe is supposed to become a series regular. And that their character name was, I don't remember their name, their rank or whatever they're using these days, but Adira, yes, who is, I believe, Star Trek's first like non-gender conforming character / actor.
Yes, as a character, yes.
And they also are gearing up to be a pretty interesting character. They are host to a Trill symbiote, which
Mhm.
is that threw me off. I'm like, I didn't think a human could do that.
They can't.
Not for very long, because Riker had a symbiote in him for a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, they can't hold it very long, which is why I think the next episode they're going to Trill.
Okay, so they're
I
gonna
think even
like
the trailer
pass it
showed
on.
it. Yeah, they can't live very long inside a non-Trill host.
And if slash when that happens, does that mean that Adira will no longer have that knowledge that they currently have? They gain from being linked with that symbiote right now.
You know, I don't know. That TNG episode suggested that Riker had some memories once the symbiote was removed, but I don't know if they start to fade away or not. It's a curious question.
I would imagine they would, just like any other memories.
Yeah.
Mm.
Whatever, our memories are whatever they are.
Right.
Well, and the reason I was curious about that is because that they revealed that this symbiote, prior to being linked to Adira, was linked to someone named General Tall, and that's they
Admiral.
needed that person. They were looking for that person, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's Admiral.
Yeah.
Admiral Tall.
Thank you. I can't remember why Tall is important at this point, but
I think just because Tall was this Starfleet voice that they heard saying, if there's any Starfleet out there, come back.
gotcha. Okay.
It was the cry in the dark kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Which also kind of gives me the impression that the Earth Defense Force is not all that new, is not all that old. If Starfleet was still broadcasting just a couple years ago,
Mm-hmm.
so, or are they two separate entities? Like, is there still a Starfleet and it's even smaller and more fractioned than we realize, or fractured?
Oh, you're implying that Starfleet is this other group now. What did you say they were calling themselves? Earth Defense Force or something like that?
Well, that is who protects Earth, the Earth Defense Force.
Right. But they did mention that Starfleet left Earth at some point in in what is now the past, because Starfleet being Starfleet, they were viewed as a liability to Earth because they're a target for so many different factions.
Oh, that's right.
So
right.
rather than letting Earth continue to be a target because of Starfleet, they're like, Starfleet, get the fuck out. Go deal with your problems on your own turf.
That's right. Okay. Yeah. That tracks.
Which is funny because Starfleet was Earth's contribution to space travel.
Right.
Right. Not that there's a lot of that these days. But yeah, it just became like this, again, like this very exclusionary situation where like, well, Starfleet, you're just a target for trouble and Earth needs to protect humans only. So take your multicultural business somewhere else.
Mm-hmm. I kind of saw it coming that the Raiders were also humans, but they didn't stop the impact of it. And I appreciate the captain, the Earth Defense Force captain, when she realized that they have been killing humans.
Mm-hmm.
Like her look of shame of like, oh fuck, what have we done? And the miner's look of shame of like, we had to resort to this because you killed us when we first came asking for help.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a lot going on there, and it comes to like almost like just generational shame that's impacting both of them.
And I think that gets back into the concept of trying to mirror what's going on, is that if we resort to I'm trying to find words. If we resort to our basis impulses of fear and violence, because we're afraid and we don't know what's going on, we're not going to be our best selves. And that's exactly what they were like shown. It's like you responded to what's going on in the galaxy with fear and xenophobia and nationalism, planetism, and that took them down the route of killing their own people. And that should be shameful, and that should be something that they look at it and go, this was the wrong choice. We have to be better than this, which certainly paves the way for the Discovery crew to bring the Federation and Starfleet back into this universe.
Right.
Especially since they're the only people that can travel anywhere right now.
Yeah, the mycelial network's going to become. I mean, the captain of EDF was correct on one thing. That paints a massive fucking target on the Discovery.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everyone's going to come gunning for that technology. Now, and also, I don't remember, did they? Yeah, they did. In season 2, they learned how to safely travel. They were no longer damaging it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they figured that out. Okay, right. I did kind of cheat and skip ahead and just kind of look at the wiki that shows all it gives are the titles for all the upcoming episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And one is called Unification 3, and that has me really giddy.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna have to give me a refresher on
Unification 1 and 2 was Spock trying to get Vulcans and Romulans to become one society again. And since this will also be the timeline, there is no Romulus.
Oh,
And we
you're
haven't
right.
heard a peep about the Vulcans yet in this era,
that. Right.
in this current Discovery era. So that's just me being like a Trek nerd, be like, oh, what does that mean?
I'm also trying to remember what ended up being the final, if any, decision on Booker. Did he leave, or is he still around? But he's probably gonna leave because this is, Starfleet's not his thing.
He already left.
He
Okay.
left, but he'll be back.
Hopefully, we still need to know what the deal is with Grudge, besides the fact that she's a queen.
The thing that they did to Booker is they like the sector of space that they were in is so many light years away from where Earth is that now Booker is in a completely different part of space where he can continue to do business.
All new deals.
But away from all of the people that were hunting him.
Right.
And they can't get to him because they don't have dilithium to get there.
Right. Or those that, there's not much. But yeah.
Right now, Discovery is the Fort Knox of dilithium.
Right.
They have the biggest supply of dilithium in 2 quadrants.
Right.
Right.
I know we see him again, Bean, because there was a season trailer that showed them making out once. They haven't made out yet.
Yeah, they've been pretty elusive on that. They don't seem to be. Well, sometimes it seems like they are, and sometimes it seems like they're not romantically involved, Booker and Michael. Not to say that that's necessary. It's a little bit cliche and tired at this point to always, make the new guy the love interest, the new person of, the interesting gender for the main character. Every time someone new shows up, oh, okay, well, now's a new love interest. They could just stay cool friends that, rescue endangered species around the galaxy.
Yeah, it's not gonna.
I get it.
But I wouldn't be mad if they did. Like, just 2 beautiful people and their cat.
Yeah, I mean, that does help a little bit. Little Trek nerd moment. I love that the tree is still there at what was once Starfleet Academy.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty great.
That was a sweet moment for everyone to get to a positive spin on that cognitive dissonance of this is all different, but what's here? This tree that we remember from our
days at the Academy
days. Thank you.
Yeah.
But even that is different, but it's a positive different for once.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's a part of me that's like, well, they're never gonna do it, but it'd be kind of cool if like a Boothby hologram showed up and says, "Leave my tree alone."
Oh God, I can do without Boothby. That would be fine.
I know.
Just so that you have a heads up, Frakes has 2 more episodes this season.
Oh boy.
He's
Yes.
directing episode 8, The Sanctuary, and episode 12, The Good of the People.
Yeah.
And then the last episode of the season is directed by Olatunde Osunsami. Sanmi.
Who is the showrunner on Section 31, right? Is that
No,
who's show?
They're the showrunner for Discovery. The two writers, Boye Kim and
That's right.
Erica, crap, I don't remember the last name. They're the showrunners on Section 31. They were the writers of People of Earth.
Okay, that's right. All right. Right.
Yeah, Bo Young Kim and Erica Lippold.
Right.
So yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, and it's definitely a nice. It is an oasis of goodness that I look forward to every Thursday.
It gives me something to look forward to this Thursday. That's for sure.
Yes.
Forget Me Not is this episode is the next episode.
Right. You know, it's how we look forward to things as every Friday. We get the Mandalorian, which came back this last week.
Dun, 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 dun.
Damn, did it come back strong? I like this. Right out the bat, they were like, you know what? Fuck it. We're just doing a Western. We're not making it whatever meets whatever in space. We're like, no, we're just doing a Western. Like, and so much of a Western that we're casting Timothy Oliphant as a marshal in Boba Fett's armor. We are going to turn it. And you know what else we're going to do? The Weequay bartender. You know what? He's the same actor who was the bartender in Deadwood. Deal with it.
Oh, I did not catch that. I never watched that one.
And Jon Favreau's like, you know what else I'm gonna do? You know how Sergio Leone used to play around with aspect ratios during fight scenes? I'm gonna do that too. I'm making a Western. It was awesome.
Also, the character that we got from season 1 that I wasn't really expecting to see back in season 2 was Amy Sedaris.
Yeah.
And I thought that was charming.
Her line when she says, "Hey, if this thing has kids or buds or whatever, I want to buy one off you." It was if it buds. It was great. I like how they acknowledged that the Mandalorian, that he's kind of okay with droids now.
Yes.
He barely trusts your kind now, and he's like, all right.
It's fine. They could give it a once over. It's like,
well, once one of them saves your life, you start to come around at least a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Right.
He even took off his helmet for that guy, for that droid.
That's true.
That's because it wasn't alive.
Yeah. No human was going to see his face. Oh. IG.
I think it was the fact that IG-11 did what it did to protect the child more so than, yes, he helped out Mando, but he did all of that because his charge was the child. It's like, right. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard they're not complaints. I've heard some commentary that this episode is very much like A leads to B, leads to C, leads to D. And I'm like, so? Sometimes I don't need a plot to, keep me on my toes. Sometimes I just do want kind of a classic adventure. Mm-hmm. And we got that. It's a classic Western. Looking for a man. Are you the man? I ain't the man. Well, I need what the man has. I need help first. Okay. Also, we saw more Tusken Raiders in this episode than the entire 9 films.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so interesting that part of me is like, can we get a Tusken Raider little mini movie? I'm actually curious about their culture now. Now I'm like, I kind of want to know what their life is like now. That was cool.
So a coworker of mine has done a deep dive on Tusken Raiders from this episode. It's like, okay, well, clearly I want to learn more. Extra tidbits about Tusken Raiders. When they are bonded to their bantha.
Aww.
And their banthas are, if you're a man, you get a male bantha. If you're a woman, you get a female bantha. Because that way, when you pair up, not only do you mate to make more sand people, your banthas mate to make more banthas,
Oh,
which made that the fact that one of them voluntarily took their bantha out as bait even
Mhm.
more poignant.
right.
Yeah, oh yeah. Didn't even think about that when you were describing that. That's well, but then didn't the dragon take him instead?
Yes, it did.
Yes.
But that was the dragon's decision. The raiders' decision was to do this for give up its bonded, you know,
For the
Right, right.
companion animal
for the greater good.
for the greater
The
good.
greater good.
Also, I love that line after that one Tusken Raider died. He's like, the Mandalorian, they may be open to other ideas.
Yep.
I'll be right back.
Yeah.
Keep talking. Sorry.
Yeah, I do think it's important that they spent as much time on the Tusken Raiders as they did. I think that gets back into Favreau just going, let's go ahead and show off the rest of the universe. Like the movie
Yeah.
dealt with all the Jedi and all of this and all the Skywalkers. We don't care. Let's go talk about everything else that everyone's wanted to talk about.
I know they sort of like wash their hands of it you know, like, oh, they scare off easily, but they come back in greater numbers. And then they never did. So it's fun to see that they have a society and that they have like cultural practices and also that they are not just fucking raiders that everyone should be afraid of or hate. They are willing to cooperate for, you know, like Aaron said, the greater good.
Mm-hmm. I thought that there were a lot of things that they were doing with that, like that still parallel into the real world, where like people that we label as savage or uncultured, we are wrong. We are 100% wrong. Just because we don't understand it or have taken the time to understand it doesn't mean that that's, you know, that's true at all. I do think, what was it? I thought that the line, you steal their water and yet you won't accept a drink from them, was very, it was
Poignant?
a strong statement. Yeah, it was a strong statement.
What was? I missed that. I'm sorry.
You steal their water and you won't accept it.
Oh, so good. Yeah. But then I also appreciate, like, later he does take it. But before that, I enjoyed the moment where the Tusken Raider drops that explosive and that miner wants to basically just start killing him. And Timmy Oliphant's character is like, it was an accident. Like, stop being racist. Like, you people, the implication of like, oh, you've never fucking dropped anything before. But then cut to him looking at Mando. It's going to be great.
It's because he knows that he has to address his own internalized racism, and he's dealing with it. But in order to do that, he also has to set the example of don't be a racist.
It is a very, it's, you know what, it's the fastest way to fucking learn a lesson is to have to be the one teaching it at the same time.
Yeah.
And I think they did a really good job of it.
They did. I mean,
you know, to the point where like, they're open to further, you know, collaborating again in the future. They're, you know, and just generally as two societies neighboring each other, they are no longer afraid or hateful of each other, at least for now. There's obviously still more work that will have to be done, but
not as far as the Tuscans are concerned. They're like, we get the carcass of the dragon, and we will never bother you again unless one of you comes looking for us.
Yeah, the Mandalorian has that line of like, they will never raise a blaster to this town until one of you breaks the peace.
Right. I forgot about that line. You're right.
That was tight.
Which is that is a phrase or a concept, like a practice that it really like connotes a certain level of honor and nobility that I'm sure no one would expect from a fucking Tusken Raider.
Well, it was like, I don't know if you guys talk about this as a way, but that line where the Mandalorian says they are brutal. They are a brutal people. they have survived the Dune Sea for 2,000 years.
Mm-hmm.
That's how they do it. Like,
Mhm.
none of you could survive without you have the comforts of technology, of modern Star Wars technology compared to the Tusken Raiders, and they still have survived the Dune Sea. Also,
Yeah, they already have practices for handling crate dragons. No one in that village, what was it? Mo's something.
Most Pogo.
It is not
Pago.
Most Def. Most Pago, thank you.
Most Def is a suburb filled with really cool people.
But yeah, just general agreeing there.
The fucking Krat Dragon Pearl, that was a deep ass nerd cut.
Is that what that was? I thought it was some sort of egg.
No, it's a pearl.
So I knew it was the Crate Dragon Pearl, but I forget the significance of it.
So the main significance that this now is officially canon, apparently, Han Solo used a Krat Dragon Pearl to buy his way into the Sabak game that won him the Millennium Falcon.
Oh.
Yeah. And then there's been a couple other ones. They're a big deal.
And yet we've never seen one on screen.
Harvested it fresh from a Crate Dragon.
Yeah.
No, you know what? No, makes perfect sense. I was gonna say, why would a dragon make a pearl? So it's a dragon that lives in the sand. Of course, it makes a pearl.
Yeah. Star Wars.
Nope. No. It's. I wanted to argue the logic, but actually, no. The moment I stopped to think about it, it's perfect logic.
Mm-hmm. Also, I totally nerded out. So, a crate dragon looks like a brass or brown dragon because they live in sands and deserts, right?
Mm-hmm.
D&D. Their breath weapon is acid.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, of course he spits acid. He's a dragon that lives in deserts. That's how they do.
Why does it need to, or why is acid the correct answer for that?
It's not, but that's what D&D has done for 40 years. So when I saw the Krat dragon spitting acid, I nerded out. That's literally it.
Not to say that I want it to be different, but I also feel like fire breath would still make a lot of sense because fire turns, if it's hot enough, you make glass out of sand. And that would be pretty fucking cool.
Yes, but then you can't travel through it. And they clearly travel quicker through sand than they do anywhere else. Like grabnoids.
That is true. They're very sluggish above sand.
Mm-hmm. I'm just excited we finally saw Krat Dragon, man. That was cool.
Yeah, the only other time I've seen it in any Star Wars media is Knights of the Old Republic, where you have to go kill one.
Right.
And it's tiny in comparison to
this one's not.
Yeah.
As opposed to that scene of like, what's that? That's the dragon. What are those? That's us. I don't think it's to scale.
I've never seen a Crate Dragon, so I did not get to have that excitement when it was first revealed. I was like, this is a Tremors episode now?
You've seen the episode. You've seen the skeleton before.
When? Where?
It's in the background of A New Hope on Tatooine.
Oh, but I wouldn't have known that.
What kind of a nerd are you?
Well, I'm enough of a nerd to know it's Crate Dragon, not Krat.
God damn it. You know what I
mean. And Sabak.
Okay, so the jury's still out on Sabak or Sabak. Thank you very much.
I've heard it multiple times, and I've only ever heard it as
Lando
Sabak.
says Sabak, but he also says Han.
Yeah. So that's who you're going to go with? I know he's a cool guy and all, but that's really who you want to take pronunciation lessons from?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Also, my friend, someone just posted the nerdiest thing ever. And I don't know if I can. It's so hard to share.
YouTube doesn't have like an upload in the chat. It's kind of a bummer.
Here, I'll put the link and you guys can just look at it while we're talking. God damn it. That's a long URL, but it still made me chortle.
It is.
Oh no.
Yeah. You've heard of Elf on a Shelf.
But have you
now
heard of Lando on a Mando?
Well,
Oh,
I'm gonna
that's
have to make.
dumb, and I love it.
I mean, what else about? We didn't get a lot of the child, which was fine. I mean, he's still there. Whatever.
That's because the show's called The
Right.
Mandalorian.
Right? Yeah. 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 No, I'm good with that.
Well, I mean, I think
I am totally fine.
I think a lot of people probably expected that the series was always really going to be about, how Jin Jaren is, working to save or keep safe this child. But it's a big universe and there's a lot of other shit going on. And so the main arc is still getting the baby to, a safe place. But, you got to go on side quests first. And not all side quests are Baby Yoda approved.
Nope. I think most of the adventures they've been going on are not approved for a child.
Yes.
Right.
And you can't have him come in and like save the day all the time.
No,
this
because
little baby hand thing.
Because that takes away the tension of it. Like, and I think a little baby Yoda goes a long way per episode.
Yes.
I also wouldn't have felt bad if they had, like, if he had left him with Amy Sedaris' character.
No, that would make sense. Every now and then you're like, you just gotta stay here, baby.
But at the same time, by taking him with him to that's what, kept them from getting immediately into a gunfight. When the marshal shows up, it's like, you got this little one here. I'm thinking maybe you're not above, talking things out. It's like, no, I'm going to kill you for that armor.
Also, can I just add, like,
hell.
how comforting was it to see Timothy Oliphant as basically like a sheriff or a marshal again? There's just something right about that.
I spent 20 minutes talking about this younger version of Timothy Oliphant who was like a really that's a good get, like this like young, like fit version of nope, that's really him. Good for him.
Yeah,
really keeping it tight.
I loved how small he looked in Boba Fett's armor.
I liked how small Boba Fett's armor looked on him.
Yeah, I was gonna say he looks like he's like bursting out of that.
Yeah, he's too tall.
Armor.
I think that's what I meant. It just looks gangly.
Yeah, like the chest piece was too small. The head, it's like on that big neck. It's like, oh, that armor doesn't fit on everyone. That's funny.
I'm trying to think how old would Boba Fett have been when he fell into the Sarlacc pit?
Okay, so he's what, 8 in Attack of the Clones? Yeah, roughly.
Right. And then a year later is Order 66.
Hold on, let me get my calculator out. No,
he's somewhere in his mid-30s.
What?
No, he's...
No, that seems too old.
So he's 8 in Attack of the Clones.
Yes.
Revenge of the Sith is 3 years after Clones.
That's 11.
19 years between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope.
Oh, so yeah, 30.
The original trilogy is 3 years. He's 38. Yeah.
Wow.
But he spent some time. Right, that's right. He spent some time in that there Sarlacc pit, though.
Because so what we've seen from the clones.
No, you didn't. Based on the timeline of when the mining guild took over most. What's it called again?
Most Pogo, whatever.
Most Pogo. Mining guild, like Death Star 2 blows up. Mining guild takes over Most Pogo, runs the marshal out of town. Marshal is wandering around for days. It's found by Jawas,
right,
and has that. That's all inside of a week.
That's true. I guess any amount of time in a Sarlacc's not good for you, but yeah, he's not in there long.
Maybe a couple days.
Yeah. And also, even though he's badass, the life of a bounty hunter, those are hard years.
I will never subscribe to that belief.
What?
That Boba Fett is a badass.
I think they're about to change that opinion for everybody.
Which will be nice because I'm with Bean on this one.
Change the opinion that he is or that he isn't?
That he is.
Yeah.
Because,
we just think
because now it's Tamura Morrison.
I think everyone thinks Boba Fett's so fucking awesome just because of MC Chris. I cannot attribute it to anything else.
I attribute it to That's not why I've always thought Boba Fett was cool. Because I'd never heard of MC Chris when Boba Fett came out. It's solely based on the look of his armor. He does nothing else, but he looks cool.
It's the same reason why we all assume that the Emperor's royal guards are badass.
They look cool.
They look fucking cool.
But they just stand there and do nothing.
Right.
But I mean, like, and I know that I don't know everything that is canon or even like has been retconned from the canon in all of the different works of Star Wars, but I have never seen anything that, well, let me take that back. I have never seen the adult Boba Fett be a badass. I've seen young Boba Fett do some cool shit because he was in a gang with other mercenary / privateers.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, he's a child and he still kind of gets his ass kicked a lot because he's a child.
Mm-hmm.
So I've never seen him win a fight. I've never seen him really be a badass. I've seen him wear cool armor, but that's about it. And it wasn't even his armor. It's his dad's.
Mm-hmm.
So I've just always been underwhelmed, and I'm really interested to see what you're teasing about.
But I'm not disagreeing with you. All of those reasons are true. They have done nothing with adult Boba Fett until now. I think I think Favreau knows that. I think Filoni knows that. And I think that they have the opportunity to, with Tamura Morrison, who is a great actor. I do enjoy him in these roles.
Yeah.
I think we're going to get to see something that out of Boba Fett that we've never seen before.
And so I guess that leads us to the last topic that I'd wanted to cover is so you clocked him, Cable, when you were watching the episode. You knew right away that was Tamura.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't pick up on that. And then once it was made clear to me, I'm like, well, then who the fuck is it? It's not Jango Fett, and it's not. Why would it be one of the clones? But I guess like it's probably Boba Fett.
He's actually credited as Boba Fett on IMDb for the episode.
Oh, okay. I looked for it somewhere and there was not a name, a character name listed. And I mean, that's technically the only thing that makes sense. Like, why would other clones who survived the regime change be on Tatooine?
Have you finished watching Rebels?
No, I'm in season 3. I have had a couple episodes where, I'm well past the point where they introduce Rex and his friends and then he ends up joining them.
Yep.
So I'm past that, but I don't think I have that much left in this series. But even at that, I'm like, why would clones be on Tatooine?
They wouldn't. That's the trick is what you've seen of the clones and Rebels. Those are the only surviving clones.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
They did not. They didn't make it into the Empire.
Well, one does because
they were decommissioned, and
Rex.
some of them got away.
Well, not decommissioned. They're genetically designed to die, but some of them have flaws.
Oh, sorry. That's how they phrase it in the show.
Yeah, because they're
But I guess that's sort of like comments to my earlier statement is like at no point did it occur to me that it could be Boba Fett. But I guess logically that's who it would be.
Mm-hmm.
It's the only person I thought it could be because that means that like fucking The Mandalorian ended their season with me jumping off my couch going, what? And then they opened with the ending me going, what? Because I was like, oh, Boba Fett's armor. That's cool. I totally get that. That makes sense.
And it looked like it had been through a Sarlacc.
Fuck yeah, it did. And then hung out, in a fucking sandcrawler for a while.
Okay, well, that definitely is opening up for what I would expect to be a pretty interesting story because he survived but got separated from his armor.
Possibly. Like, that was my take on it. Merrick's take was like, what if he just sold it? What if he's the reason that Like, what if he sold it to the Jawa?
That's what I'm also wondering. Like,
I'm like, I hadn't thought of that.
he's there. This isn't canon, but there was a Star Wars comic back in the Dark Horse days, where basically a Jedi exiles themselves to Tatooine,
Mm-hmm.
and they, and very much like it had a lot of like elements of Dances with Wolves, and like this Jedi was like, I'm done with war. I'm just done with it. The Jedi, the Sith, it's all bullshit. I'm done. I'm going to where no one will ever find me again. And he goes to Tatooine, and he eventually joins like a Tusken Raider tribe. He eventually has a child. Like he becomes one of them until, the galaxy pulls him back, as it were. And that scene at the end with Boba Fett, he's got a blaster, he's got a gappy stick, and he's got Raider wrappings on his arm. Like, I was like, okay, steal the gun, steal the gappy stick, maybe, but you're also dressed like them, except for your face.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think he's got a bond with them that they haven't yet revealed.
Oh, interesting. Well, in the fashion of Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau, I would not be at all surprised to see them incorporate elements of that story into this, new canon.
Yeah, I mean, years ago when Disney took over Star Wars, they never once said they were throwing away all of EU permanently.
Mm-hmm.
They made it known that they weren't going to count anything EU, but they weren't opposed to like picking shit they liked.
Cherry picking.
Hence Grand Admiral Thrawn.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I'm pumped. These two shows are so very different, but yet are equally exciting and calming for me. I feel like for the first time in a long time, both of my favorite space franchises are in the hands of creators that not only love it but get it.
I agree with that assessment.
And this isn't even, Star Wars finally got dark. I don't see that. I could actually, The Mandalorian is still for kids.
Mm-hmm.
But adults can enjoy it. I could sit an 8-year-old down and he or she, we would both just nerd out. And I think like, what does that mean? Oh, let me tell you, child.
My 7-year-old niece loves it.
So does mine. She adores The Mandalorian.
Yep.
As does my 44-year-old, hetero life mate in Denver.
Mm-hmm.
They both have the same reaction, which is kind of great,
Well, I think that's a really good note to end on because we're going on 2 hours.
Oh, shit. All right. Well, with that all being said, next week, I don't know what we're going to do.
I don't know. I
don't know.
Let's not plan next week until about, Sunday.
Yeah.
I like that plan.
Yeah. Wait. Yeah, we'll talk about this off mic.
It's the most realistic plan that we can make.
Yeah, no, it's something else. Well, with all that being said, I am a very exhausted Aaron Duran.
I'm a slightly drunk Bean Rita.
Yeah.
I'm a not tired and completely sober Cable Hashtani.
And we'll
I think you did it wrong.
We'll probably talk with everybody next week. Be nice to each other.
Stay safe.
Wherever you go, there you are.
Yeah, that's a good spot.